Ah, no. Oh, took a second for the game to load there. Hello, Ghost. Hello, Potato. Hello, Harry. Welcome, welcome. How's everyone doing today? Will we find true love? Everything that I've seen about it, this character. Wait, can you see my cursor? This character reminds me of Koma, and this character reminds me of me. Not so much the me that you see right now, but a me of a past life. She looks a lot like me. Anderson, welcome! How are you doing today? Are you guys familiar with this game? Have you guys heard of this game before? It sounded like not so much. I mentioned it a bit on another stream. I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun playing through this game together because I think the premise is really cute. And if you guys don't know the premise, it'll be fun to go through it together. You're all about the short-haired girl? She's super cute. I think she's adorable. I love her design a lot. Romeo Tome brainwashing dating sim game when? I'm the one, by the way, I'm the one brainwashing, right? I'm the one doing the brainwashing. Just to be clear. We're gonna get started. I haven't played a visual novel in a while. And I've mentioned before that I really like visual novels. I usually don't like to play them on stream, but I thought I would try something different. We haven't played a visual novel before on stream, so I thought I would try it out and we'll see how it is. I've never played a visual novel on stream. Hopefully it's not too boring. Hopefully it's entertaining enough, but we'll see, we'll see. But let's get started. Let's get started. I'm very excited, very, very excited. Oh, Mara, welcome, welcome. Is there gonna be a cutscene in the beginning? I wonder. I think the last... I think the last visual novel I played was... I don't know, maybe AI Somnium Files? And then before that I played Nekopara. I played Nekopara, and then what did I play before that? I haven't played anything in a really long time, so I'm very excited. I hope you guys are too. Ah! 宇宙からやってきた女の子が地球人の男の子に大きな愛を叫んだ。Wait! Huh? Wait! I swear I didn't know that this was a... Wait, I'm... What? Wait, are there... Are there aliens in this story? I really did not know that... Huh? It's not me, I swear! What? Are there aliens? Are there aliens? I was gonna self-insert me in Koma anyway, but... Drew his sword? Huh? Sword? Why is there a sword? We're like in a very nice cafe. I guess this is an image. There might be some typos. We'll see. Oh, oh, she's so cute. I thought the roles were gonna be reversed. I'm a little shocked. I thought the girl who liked gacha was gonna be the yellow-haired one. Why did I get everyone except Kohi-kun? The mobile game Swordsman for Sale, known to fans by the shortened Japanese name Kensho, you collected famous swordsmen from history to put together the strongest team of sellswords. It's like a... What's that game? Ah, this is based off of that other game. Token Ranbu. Token Ranbu. Do you guys know Token Ranbu? I've never played before, but I heard it's similar to Kantai Collection, but it's Kankole, but with swords. They're not swordsmen. They're like historical swords that have been personified into humans. My husbando was Akiyama Kohi-kun, and he was up as an SR in the most recent limited time gacha campaign. The words 30 minutes to go were splashed across... Oh, lots of typos here. That's okay. Were splashed across the screen, urging me to try just one more pull. It's like real life. Right, my husbando still hasn't come home. Of course, I had his rares, but still. Which is why today was the day, although it didn't seem like that for my longtime friend Shino. One more pull! She'd been nonchalantly drinking her tea the whole time. Ah, she was only so relaxed because neither of her favorite pairing were in the pool this time. Gulping down a mouthful of my coffee, which was the price of 2 gacha pulls, I heaved a deep sigh. Maybe if I'd spent that money on gacha instead, I'd have Kohi-kun by now. The cool rim of the copper mug seems to have cooled me down too. I was converting everything around me into gacha currency. If I sold the outfit I was wearing right now, that could be 10 consecutive pulls. Norris, good night, Anderson. Thank you for stopping by. The true SSR was in your heart all along, true? My thoughts, which had been drifting to gacha land, were pulled back to earth by Shino's words. Careful, I couldn't afford to waste a single second. Oh, about 2 months rent? Holy shit! Even though I was working every day for the sake of my husbando, sinking in hundreds of dollars wasn't exactly easy on my wallet. I knew that, but this time was super special. Going back to the game, I opened the gacha screen again. The image from the event's SR card, Kohi-kun dressed in a dashing white tuxedo, filled the screen. The theme of the event was Spring Wedding. In other words, this was no ordinary gacha. This was my once-in-a-lifetime chance to marry my husbando. She's not wrong. Oh my god. Oh my god! She's crazy! She's crazy! True? Other than cold hard cash, there was also this magical card you could use, but even that card had its limits. In other words, this was my last chance. Oh no, she's in too deep. She's like me playing Fate Grand Order. I believe it. Fate Go has like the worst gacha rates ever. Just as I was about to jab my trembling finger onto the screen, I heard a small voice. At the same time, a cheer went up. It seemed like something was going off at the register. A crowd there was blocking the entrance to the cafe. With my finger still hovering in midair, I looked over in that direction. Cute! Vaguely curious, I stood up to get a better look. I could see a girl in the middle of the crowd. The girl glanced at me before turning her gaze back to the register. I got up from my seat. The girl's clothes were all garishly bright, like they'd been colored in with crayon. She looked like something spilled out of an appended toy box. She was wearing a short pink skirt and an aqua blue sweater. When I got up close to her, her sparkling expression was almost blinding. Unrealistic. She wouldn't get distracted from gacha like that. True? True? The girl looked triumphant as the store clerk handed her a ticket along with a congratulations. Looking closer, I saw a panel beside the register advertising the chance to enter some kind of lottery with your purchase. The main prize showed the silhouette of a castle with the words, "All expenses paid over trip to sea," with 2 theme park tickets splashed across it. They really had splurged on the grand prize. Nice. If only I had the same kind of luck. The crowd started to disperse as the girl stowed the tickets away in her bag. Then, as though suddenly noticing me standing there, she tilted her head at me curiously. I hurriedly waved my hand around in denial, completely forgetting I was still clutching my phone. Then, remembering what was currently open on my screen, I quickly hugged it to my chest. But I was too late. After staring intently at the screen for a moment, the girl raised her head to look at me. How did this clearly trendy and popular girl know that nerdy word? Oh, lucky! She explained to me, clearly reading my thoughts in puzzled expression. The girl beamed up at me, her eyes wide and round like a little forest creature. A pink gloss shone seductively on her lips. As she reached out her hand to me, I instinctively pulled back, but that just made her stretch forward even further, looking a little offended. Even she knows how lucky she is. My entire future rests on that one go. Using the inches I had on her, I lifted my phone above her head. After giving me a hard stare, she switched gears and reached for something else. All the strength left me as her hand slid over my body. Oh, hello? Deftly catching the phone as it fell from my limp grasp, she grinned at me impishly like a kid who just pulled off a prank. My words died on my lips as the image on the screen changed. The man with the sword looked at me, then swung. As the light effect enveloped the screen, I screwed my eyes shut. I couldn't believe it. My one chance and everything writing on it had been stolen from me and smashed into smithereens by this random girl. I was already writing my own eulogy as I timidly opened my eyes. There, in the girl's hand, standing in front of a bright chapel, was a softly smiling man in a tuxedo. Tousled dark brown hair, a sweet smile, a short sword at his hip, and the proposal. You must be quite the dilettante. Looking to exchange vows with an old codger like me, are you sure? Kohi-kun chuckled good-naturedly, looking a little bashful. I hugged the girl's hand and the phone in it, or rather, the Kohi-kun in it, to me. Gripping the device in both hands, I gazed down at Kohi-kun on the screen, the gentle smile gracing my groom's face. I had to marry him. The figure before me was so stunningly dashing, I felt dizzy like my brain had been put in a blender. Oh my god. She's in deep. I wanted to tell him so desperately, yet now it came down to I couldn't seem to get the words out properly. All I knew that, while I'd been savoring the bliss of knowing I'd be with the one I loved forever, the words "tap to say yes" had appeared on the screen. The girl's voice snapped me back into reality. Crap, I was squeezing my phone so hard I was about to crack it. Very intense. The girl's cheeks were slightly flushed. I didn't really understand what she was saying. Was I intense? I thought I was just in love. The girl's face flushed an even deeper shade of red as she lowered her gaze. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The misunderstanding. Hangover! Welcome! Hope you're doing well too. Finally releasing the girl's hand, I took my phone back. Shino must have been watching the whole thing, and now that things have calmed down, she waved to get my attention. Eager to tell her about Kohi-kun, I thanked the girl again before rushing back to my friend. Lewd hand-holding. I let out a long, blissful sigh. I expected Shino to share in my excitement, but her reaction was surprisingly diluted. I sent her a questioning look, but she was looking past me towards the girl I'd just been talking to. Chin in hand, Shino muttered to herself, clearly deep in thought, then something seemed to occur to her. At that moment in time, I was so obsessed with my husbando, the girl immediately vanished from my mind. Little did I know the mess I'd got myself into. Yay! It begins. After saying goodbye to my coworkers, I left the hotel where I worked. Suppressing the urge to skip all the way back home, I settled for simply hurrying. I pulled out my phone while I walked. When I started up the Kensho app, Kohi-kun was there waiting for me as usual in his tuxedo. The top page text that accompanied him made my heart flutter every time. Savoring that joy, I knew my life would be a breeze from here on out. Or so I thought. The moment I heard that voice, I was struck by a shock. This art is so cute! Look at it! It's beautiful! I looked back over my shoulder. Standing there was the girl I'd met yesterday in the cafe, her eyes shining even brighter than they had back then. Huh? Huh? For a moment, I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
ポーズしてくれたでしょ。それなのにそのままいなくなっちゃうし。プロポーズ？
It's happening. Yeah, my stars changed color. I'm using my blushing face right now because they're playing an otome game or a dating sim rather. But I couldn't wrap my hand around what was happening. First things first, I had to get her off of me. Grabbing her by the wrist, I peeled her off me. Thankfully, she stepped back. SSR IRL girlfriend, true? Oh, the art is so good. Although my workplace wasn't too far from where we'd met the other day in Kyushucho, it was too much of a coincidence to just bump into each other here. The girl answered my suspicious question nonchalantly. Business card? How'd you get my business card? My eye twitched as I looked down at the card she'd pulled out of her bag. The name and logo of the hotel I worked at were stamped in gold gilt onto the card. No. Now that she mentioned it, I did remember I'd slipped some cards into my phone case when I went to some exhibition or other. I guess one could have fallen out. Still, it was quite the coincidence. Urutachi-san called me by the name on my card like we were old friends, and she was saying that we were going to get married? That was impossible. I figured YOLO. Why the hell would you think I'd propose to her? And then I remembered. Those words had been meant for Kohi-kun, not her. I cut myself off. I didn't want to tell this random girl whose name I barely knew, this cool girl, about my geeky hobbies. Urutachi-san pressed me, clearly dissatisfied with my response. The way she was puffing out her cheeks was super cute, but in all my 26 years of life, I'd only ever loved 2D men. She was 3D and a girl. It was impossible. Sure, there had been a time where I'd yearned for something real, but that time was long gone. Plus, I'd never been into the same sex. Her eyes lit up. She looked like she was about to leap into my arms, so I held her back with both hands. Relieved that I seemed to have got through to her, I let out my breath, but alas, I was naive. Urutachi-san clung onto my arm, grinning up at me. Love is a strong word here. It's more like I like you. With what she's saying. She was already pulling out her phone, dripping with tons of cute keychains. She loved me? Nuh-uh. You didn't just go throwing that word around. Besides, this was moving way too fast for me to keep up. This girl was crazy intense, like some kind of alien from outer space. That definitely I didn't even. I'm not I thought I would self-insert, but I wasn't self-inserting, and the game is self-inserting for me. I'm not making this up. This is just happening. I wish I could screenshot this. Wait, I'm gonna. Right. Okay, I think I screenshotted it. I'm gonna send that to Kuma. Sure, I wanted to thank her, but never in a million years had I expected her to come to my workplace and demand my number. JD, welcome! Have you played this before? She opened up her messaging app and looked at me expectantly. Honestly, that was a pretty inviting proposition. Scoring tickets to live shows, gacha, and otaku's life was all about luck, and I'd already seen it with my own eyes just how lucky this girl could be. I silently held out my phone to her. It was a transaction, a business arrangement to protect my life with my husbando, to deepen our love. You have it, but you haven't gotten to it yet? It's really cute. I really like the art a lot so far. And that was how Akaru Hayahoshi met Ren Furutachi. Or rather, how the universe threw them together. I was in the break room at the Imperial Asa Hotel. My scream echoed around the small room situated behind the lavish reception hall, dripping with glittering chandeliers. Phone clutched in my hands, my eyes were glued to the words on the screen. Oh, her uniform is so cute! Shino stared blearily at me over her convenience store rice ball. Our lunch break was the only time Shino and I got to talk, as she was in the linens department while I was in the front. I had a habit of lapsing into fandom talk whenever we were able to get together. They're cute. As we stealthily continued our conversation, I deliberately held my phone out for her to see. Fan event? From what I could gather from the in-game announcement, they would be holding an IRL fan meeting. My hands unconsciously tightened around my phone. I got so carried away with my hype, I'd forgotten to check the most important thing. I quickly went back to reading the rest of the announcement. The post detailed the time and place of the event, along with a list of participating characters. Shino opened the app on her own phone too and scanned the cast list. On Twitter. Shino squinted down at her phone, her eyes flicking up and down as she scrolled quickly through social media. The info-gathering speed of a power Fujoshi who ran 3 doujin circles at once, holy moly, was truly a force to be reckoned with. If the lottery ticket came with the CD, then the only way to get more chances was to buy more CDs. You're basically obligated to buy a whole stack. I'd spoken too soon. Shino turned her phone around to show me. It was open on some kind of article.
当選倍率は50倍以上かってはあ50倍
1 in 50, so the chance of winning a ticket in the lottery was 2%. In gacha terms, that was like pulling an SR. With what was in my bank right then, I could stretch to 20 copies at most. Definitely not a guaranteed win.
減少のユーザー数から見てこの会場のキャパじゃそうなるでしょう。それはわかるけど、あーちゃん、ただでさえ運悪いもんな。
You have the worst luck. Oh no. She was right. I knew that damn well. If only there were some way to cure my bad luck curse.
いいやん、思いついた
Finally time to sell your organs. Don't do it.
でも、臓器売るよりもっときついかも。ねえねえ、アクル、あの店めっちゃ可愛くない？待って、引っ張らないで。
A paper bag hung heavily from my hand, my decrepit millennial body bearing the weight of 20 CDs. Or maybe I was bearing the weight of the entire situation. Ren sent me a stern look. Ugh, this girl was scary. Says the Gen Zer. In order to win the lottery to attend the fan meeting, I first had to get lucky with the lottery tickets. With that thought in mind, I decided to make use of this lucky girl's power. Furutachi-san had seen right through me. She nuzzled up against me triumphantly. I knew the choice of words had been unlike me, but having her poke fun at me about it was super embarrassing. I thought kids these days treated everything as a date. Really, I didn't know anything about the youth of today, especially cool, trendy kids like her. I hesitated, but Furutachi-san cheekily snatched one of the CDs out of the bag in my hands. She stared at the cover with interest. All the Kensho characters were gathered together like some kind of group photo. Oh no! Furutachi-san followed my finger to the character, then gawped at me. Oh no! I restrained myself from yelling any further. Passerbyers were already giving us curious looks. She held the CD out to me apologetically. I couldn't tell whether she was serious or messing with me. I'm sorry for lying. I was in the wrong too, so it was only right I apologized. Furutachi-san's eyes widened in surprise. Feeling awkward, I averted my gaze and tucked my hair behind my ear. Furutachi-san stared at me in amazement for a few more seconds before finally breaking the silence. Oh! Oh! She's going too fast! I'm actually blushing right now. Oh my goodness. This is like our first date. We gotta like, you know, do things in order. Like hold hands first. Hold hands and then spend some more time together. My mind went blank at the unexpected proposition. Furutachi-san was already reaching out her hand towards my cheek, ready to make good on her word. I quickly caught hold of her wrist and pulled it away.
Stop! ダメなの？ダメです。そっか。とにかく今日はありがとう。
But she didn't even open the CDs yet.
じゃあついていっていい？何言ってるの？
Furutachi-san spun around in front of me, pouting sulkily. The next words out of her mouth were surprisingly convincing.
それくじ引きみたいなもんなんでしょ？抽選はこの後行われるんだろうし。
She's not
当
wrong.
たったのが分かるまで一緒にいなきゃ意味ないじゃん。
She had a logical point. The CDs only contain the lottery tickets. The draw for the fan meeting would take place several weeks from now.
それはそうだけど。でも
That's true, but it's not like we can be together all the time. That wasn't possible, not unless you were married or something.
同棲すればいいじゃん。いや、
I barely knew this girl, yet for her part, she didn't seem at all bothered by that fact.
いいじゃん。あくるのうちに少しの間止めて。お昼の間はちゃんと学校行くし、バイトだってあるから。ね。でも、この子が何考えてるのかよくわかんないし、そんな子と一緒に生活するなんて。
I couldn't even begin to imagine it. On the other hand, being around her could mean winning that coveted 2% possibility ticket. The two opposing views fought in my mind.
いやー、ほら、見ず知らずの私の家に、しかも何日も泊まるなんて親御さんが許さないし。いや、私もともと一人暮らしなんだよね。
In a split second, her previous cheerful demeanor had vanished. She looked down at the ground and spoke in a sad whisper.
一人暮らしってこの年齢で？
A scene from a TV show I'd been watching the other day popped into my head. A delinquent girl wandering the city streets at night, older men with ill intentions approaching her. The dark images swirled in my mind.
やっぱギャルだから。でもまだ若い女の子だし。むしろ大人と一緒の方が安心なんだけど。
So manipulative!
ダメ？ちょっとでもダメそうなら出て行ってもらうから。
In an instant, her gloomy expression had vanished like dew under the sun, and her eyes sparkled.
テンション上がる。
Yes! But it was already too late. Furutachi-san linked her arm through mine and set off, pulling me along with incredible force. I had already regretted everything. Oh, is that the character? He is a Shota! What the f- I walked the route from the station to my place like I'd done 100 times before and stepped into the familiar apartment, but today there was one big difference.
お邪魔します。
There was someone else in the space I usually shared with only myself. That was strange enough, but Ren's flashy figure was like a jar of colorful beads that had been spilled all over my neutral toned apartment.
あくる、洗面台どっち？あ、こっちだけど。
The moment I answered, she was already flinging open the door and marching inside.
何してんの？歯ブラシよし、男物のカミソリよし、ない。あ、食器も一組だし。うわ、
Why
なんでマグカップこんなの？
do you have so many mugs? Oh no, I feel called out. I definitely have a lot of mugs too.
ちょ、待って、私の？
The bedroom was where I kept all my precious posters and other merch. And not only that, but an entire bookshelf full of comics featuring men in compromising positions. No! I dashed after her, but she was already turning in a different direction to what I predicted. I unceremoniously crashed into the bookshelf. Furutachi-san stopped rummaging through the bedside table to stare at me wide-eyed.
これ何してんの？
Rubbing my sore nose, I looked down at Furutachi-san sitting on the bed. She seemed calmer than before, no longer searching frantically for something.
そっちこそ何してるの？だってアクルに恋人がいないかチェックしとかなきゃって思って。
Partner, I repeated the word to myself. I'd never even thought about it before.
別にいたとしても連れてこないから。それにあなたには関係ないでしょ？え？関係あるでしょ？私アクルのことを好きだって言ったよね。そっか。なるほどね。
Just as I was puzzling over her, my vision flipped upside down. The next thing I knew, a pair of pale sparkling eyes were right in front of my own. Her previous innocent smile had vanished, replaced by an intense stare. She was so close I could almost feel her breath on my face. I wanted to look away, but for some reason I couldn't. Lewd! The scene is lewd! It's getting lewd! Oh, the art is so good, though. I really like the art a lot. Everything about the art is, like, really nice. From, like, the lines to the angles and just the general, like, pose and the curves of the body. Really pretty. I love the art a lot.
どうしたの？酔ってる？
My head spun and I could barely form words. I'd never had another woman in my personal space like this before. I felt like I might break out in a cold sweat. The tense atmosphere abruptly loosened. With a soft giggle, Furutachi-san stroked my cheek. When I squired at the ticklish sensation, she frowned.
気づいてないんだ。何が？
I had no idea what she was talking about. One minute she was like a clingy kid, the next she was laughing at some joke I wasn't in on.
もう分かってよ。
The sweet scent of apricots filled my nose. A soft sensation across my cheek made me gasp.
今日はこれくらいにしといてあげる。
Cute! There was a bashful tinge to her tone. Before I could work out what was going on, she continued.
けど、私レズだからね。
Lesbian? Huh?
女の人が好きな女の子ってこと？
My mind couldn't keep up. All of our previous interactions spun through my mind like a kaleidoscope.
もしかして最初から今までずっと冗談でもからかってもいなかったってこと？
I mean, why would it have been a joke? Would you take a joke this far? I don't think so. Get a clue. Hello. I couldn't speak. The girl before me put her finger to her lips
だ
teasingly.
からよそ見をするのはやめてよね、ダーリン。いや、ハニーかな。スケラソメーラ。
Cute. Oh, is this opening? It's the opening. I totally do this with the homies. True? True, you're not real homies if you don't do that with each other. This is fun! Welcome, welcome. How are you doing, Lucy-san? Yuriteru ne. Yes! Yuri game daisuki. Real homies call each other darling. True. True. Sylvionis, welcome. How are you doing today? You are speaking the truth. The one kanji you can recognize? I only recognize it because Len mentioned it earlier. A soft, warm sensation. I shifted under the weight atop my arm. The faint breath across my neck tickled. Time drifted by like soft, fluffy cotton wool. The chill of winter still lingered in the air, but I was toasty warm here, and the soft sensation and faint Sweet fragrance were so nice I want to stay curled up here all day long. I ran through the shift. The shift sheet. The shift? What's a shift sheet? I ran through the shift sheet in my mind. Right. Today was my day off, which meant... Right, today was a day off. So I should have been able to relax in bed, but... Cracking open my eyelids, I looked around. There was the lime green ceiling and the walls. My left side felt strangely cold. I was pressed further up against the window side than usual. Cute! I caught a glimpse of a clavicle peeking out from the loose collar of her shirt. Such a gorgeous pale décolletage. Wait, what? What's a décolletage? There are a lot of cutscenes in this one. It's very cute. Or a lot of what are these called? I don't know what it's called. A lot of the illustrations. In my arms was a girl who smelled like flowers. She looked younger without makeup, or maybe that was just a sleepy look on her face. My anger deflated in the face of her nonchalant expression, forgetting about trying to extract myself from her. I babbled on. Cute. After yesterday's coming out, she'd accepted the separate sleeping arrangements remarkably well, but this must have been her intention all along. Furutachi-san smiled mischievously, not looking the least bit abashed. Pressing my hand to my chest, I felt my heart thudding. It was more akin to the palpitations from a haunted house than anything else. Ah, new outfit! Cute! Cute. She raised her hand cheekily and I sighed. While I had been surprised to learn that Furutachi-san was a lesbian, whether her feelings toward me were romantic or otherwise didn't change mine. I told her with finality I was way too invested in my otaku pursuits to have any interest in real romance of any kind. She clearly wasn't getting it. She kicked her legs around. She muttered something to herself, but I ignored her, looking instead to the clock on the wall. Last night she used some anemones I had from work, but I didn't have an endless supply. Furutachi-san didn't seem willing to go get her own stuff, so I wanted to get a few things in stock. She nodded to herself. Seeming to have perked up, Furutachi-san jumped out of the bed energetically. She pulled her makeup pouch out of her bag, rummaged through it, then dashed off to the bathroom. My apartment was suddenly all hustle and bustle. I could hear the rush of water from the sink combined with the loud running commentary. Before I could tell her she was free to use it, she was already boisterously shouting over me. Feeling like my peaceful day was already being tainted by her, I made my way over to the fridge to get started on breakfast. Caster, welcome! How are you doing today? About a 15-minute walk from my apartment, just past the station, was a large shopping mall that was perfectly convenient for picking up daily necessities. Since I shop there all the time, I figured we'd be done in no time. But oh, how wrong I was.
歯ブラシ色地にしようよ。色地？私ピンクがいいから、アクルはブルーとかかな。
Furutachi-san casually caught hold of my arm and dragged me over to a colorful display. Chattering excitedly, she scoured through the shelves looking for the perfect item.
私の分はもうあるんだからいらないでしょ。でもせっかくだしさ、お揃いの歯ブラシ並べるのテンション上がんない？上がんない。
Despite my flat response, Furutachi-san's spirits weren't dampened one bit. After being dragged around by her for so long, my arm was starting to ache.
こっちの可愛い。魚と猫でお揃いになってる。
She giggled, pointing at a pair of mugs. This was starting to seem more like a date for a pair of newlyweds.
ほら、こっち見てよ。新婚か。ねえねえ、アクル。
Oh my god! Is that a baby? What is this? Why is there a baby?
なんだい、レン。
Oh my god, she's fantasizing.
こっちのスープカップめっちゃ可愛い。ねえ、あくみの分も食器買おうよ。
Wow, Akumi? Who's that? They named their baby?
私が青、あくみは黄色にしようか。
Oh my god.
まったく、レンは甘えん坊だな。
Oh my
い
god.
やいや、なんで私が旦那役なの？
I shook my head to rid of the fantasy. Crap, this girl was starting to reel me in.
って勝手にカゴに入れてるし。
I realized that she'd been tossing items into the basket willy-nilly. Following her outstretched arm back up, I saw Furutachi-san cocking her head at me to mock innocence.
ダメ？マグカップなら。
You guys had a baby on your first date. Hey, hey, hey. Second date, okay?
5つ？は？だからいりません。なんでそんなにあるの？やっぱり彼氏が。彼氏、やっぱりいるの？
What?
前ののポスターがいくらくじ引いても当たらなくて、代わりにマグカップばかり当たった。
Oh no! Was it a ichikuji? I gritted my teeth against the painful memory of the past. I remember the store worker consoling me after I'd used up every last raffle ticket.
あとは普通にイベントで買ったり。なんでさらに買ってんの？とにかくそれ使いなさい。というか使ってもったいないから。はーい。
She sounded a little put out as she shuffled back to my side. After walking around the store for a while longer, I heard a muffled exclamation from her.
ベッド売り場。欲しいの？買ってあげようか。なんでこっちはすぐ買ってくれようとするの？だって新しく買ったら古舘さんそっちで寝るでしょ。まあ私はアクルと一緒のベッドがいいの。一緒ならこれね。シングルで27,000円。
I pointed out one of the beds from the lineup. It was a familiar design with drawers underneath and a convenient socket in the headboard.
同じ型とかじゃなくて、アクルともっとイチャイチャできるようなベッドを買うならいいけど。イチャイチャはしません。
Letting her protest wash over me like a water off a duck's back, I checked the tag.
でもまあ確かに今のじゃ狭いし、セミダブルとかに買い替えた方が。
Semi-double? Is that like a full, maybe? Or like a... What is I think in American sizes there's like a super twin or something? Something twin? Extra twin? Super twin? Mega twin? I don't know bed size. I know it's like twin. Super twin, full, and then queen, right? If she was going to be sneaking into my bed every night anyway, I could take this opportunity to upgrade. To be honest, I didn't really have the cash to spare, but it wasn't that expensive. Super transforming twins, maybe. Oh, they do have queen. Omega twin. I sat down on the bed to test its size. I thought Furutachi-san was going to sit next to me, but instead she flopped her back on it with a loud whump. When I followed her lead and laid down, I found the mattress did indeed have more recoil to it than my current one. It wasn't bad. Spreading out my arms to get a better idea of the width, the fingertips of my left hand brushed Furutachi-san's shoulder. She turned in my direction and our eyes met. She moved in a bit closer, regarding me earnestly. Her eyes seemed to glimmer slightly as she hesitantly parted her lips. She was looking up at me through her lashes beseechingly. Suddenly feeling awkward, I quickly sat up. The bed squeaked underneath me as I sank further into it. Trying to mentally distract myself, I looked down at where Furutachi-san still lay on the bed. I mean, it was embarrassing. Sure, I'd called plenty of girls by their first name before, but this was something awkward about this. Propping her chin on the pillow, Furutachi-san muttered to herself sulkingly. Feeling a little sorry to her, I addressed her with slight kinder tone as I suggested we move on. After purchasing all the necessities we currently needed, we were about to head home when my gaze landed on a particular store. Or rather, than the store itself, the items it had on display. What is it? Oh, a sword! I was staring at a sword just like the wakizashi short sword Kohi-kun carried. It seemed that this was a limited time pop-up store for Children's Day. Just having it in my room would feel like Kohei-kun was there with me. Furutachi-san clung to my arm looking sullen. She must have looked pretty funny because the store clerk smiled our way. I wanted to look around some more, but I didn't feel I could talk to the clerk with Furutachi-san hanging off my arm. Without much else to do, I carried on the conversation. She seemed to be thinking hard. She then glanced my way. I never thought about myself like that before, so I didn't really get it, but for some reason this girl genuinely seemed to like me. Because you're hot! Look at her, she's so hot! I didn't understand most of what she said and did, but this is probably the thing that made the least sense to me. I got that she was into girls, but there were plenty of other women out there. It was a simple answer, but... Oh, struck by lightning? I really did not get this, girl. How did someone end up infatuated with an older stranger over such a simplistic
それ
reason?
と送る可愛いし
True?
それはちょっと違うと思うけど
Something felt off about being called cute by a much younger and much cuter girl than me.
照れてる可愛い
She pressed herself against my arm with a smile on her face, way cuter than anything ever to grace my own.
こんな可愛い仕草私ができたのなんて何歳の頃までだっけ
We eventually finished up shopping and headed home, laden down with bags of daily supplies and one Japanese sword. Love at first sight, don't question it. True?
ここはあこうしようかな
As soon as I opened the front door, a voice drifted out to greet me.
いい感じ
I shouted in the direction of the sound.
ただいまあくるおかえ
She poked her head out from the bathroom and grinned at me.
りちょうどよかった見て見て
I already had a bad feeling about this. I was exhausted from work, so my first instinct was to ignore her, but Furutachi-san had already caught a hold of me and was dragging me into the bathroom with her.
どうしたの
She held her hands out to the sink area where two toothbrushes stood in the center. The mirror above had been decorated with what seemed like highlighter pen.
可愛くない派手可愛いじゃん
Beside a picture of a bunny drawn in pink was a speech bubble with the words God Morning.
スペル間違ってるしどこここほらペン貸してどうぞ
I took the pen from her and added an extra O to the God and R to the Morning. When I handed the pen back, she looked at me with sparkling
こう
eyes.
いうの同棲っぽいかも初めての共同作業みたいなどちらかといえば親戚の子の勉強を見てる感覚よこっちは
Looking around, I saw that it wasn't just a mirror. The drab bathroom was now punctuated by splashes of vivid color from Furutachi's things.
あ食器とかも置いたんだよ
When she dragged me out into the kitchen, I found it dotted with garish colors, just like the bathroom.
使いづらそう
The cooking utensils she'd made me buy because they were cute now hung above the sink. Looking at it from the perspective of efficiency, they were kind of in the way.
いい感じでしょまあいっか
Still, her enthusiasm was so funny that I couldn't help but smile slightly. Listening to her explaining why she'd placed everything where she did was starting to make me feel like we were really living as a couple.
いや古舘さんは恋人じゃないけど
Girlfriends aside, I bet it'd be nice to live with my husbando Kohi-kun. In fact, I wished we did live together.
浩平君もこの子みたくはしゃぎそうだな
おお、これはフライパンというのか。かまどいらずとな。それは本当に芯まで火が通るのかい？
Kohi-kun gazed at the utensils with interest before glancing around the rest of the room. It was so endearing. The way his movements reminded me of when he was sword fighting.
浩平君ほんとかわいい毎日料理作ってあげたいいやむしろ一緒に作りたい
Lady, no worries. Have a good rest of your day. If I don't see you later, thank you for stopping by. Kohei-kun was very particular about his food, so he probably wouldn't want to leave it all to me. I painted a mental picture of my life together with Kohei-kun. Well, she says Kohei, but I keep reading this as Kohi, like coffee.
変えてなかった浩平君とお揃いの食器
Akuru-chan wa Kohei-kun no daisuki nano ka? Oshii. Akuru-chan no oshii. Furutachi-san's voice pulled me out of my daydream with Kohei-kun and back to reality. The moment I snapped back to my senses,
レン何やってんの時計取ろうとしてるんだけど じゃ全然届かなくて。
In her hand was a sword. It was the one I bought when we went shopping together, the same as Kohei-kun had.
時計なら私が取るから。
あ、Kohei-kun がアイドルなのか。いやいやいや、Kohei-kun はガチャゲームのキャラクター。なんか特権乱舞のみたいなガチャゲームキャラクター。そっちで、ポスターがある。Kohei-kun。この男。I rushed to stop her as she wielded the sword in its sheath like a pair of shears attempting to pry the clock off the wall. Ren gazed at me in wide-eyed surprise.
これはそんなに雑に扱っていいものじゃないの。ごめん。あ、壊れたらどうするの。
Glaring at her, I hugged the sword to my chest, but rather than looking apologetic, Ren was still staring at me dumbfounded.
今何？なんでもない。
Because she called her by her name! She smiled at me, her cheeks flushed. I was confused by her reaction, but at least she seemed to understand.
あ、じゃあ私お風呂掃除してくるね。
Her tone was so elated she could fill a helium balloon, and she skipped off like she was in the best mood ever.
ありがとう。
I thanked her as I tossed my shawl onto the sofa. What on earth had gotten into her? As I watched her head off to the bathroom, humming happily to herself, it finally struck me. The break room at the Imperial Aso Hotel was quiet and still. The hands of the clock had passed 3 a.m. In a corner of the room, the lights were turned off to allow staff to grab some shut-eye. 3 a.m.! In the darkness, I slowly opened my eyes.
おい、早星。まったく、早星は寝ぼすけだな。
Is this Kohei-kun?
ダメだよ、マイカは。アクルンは仕事で疲れてるんだから。
Who are these people? My head still fuzzy, I slowly opened my eyes. There before me was a beautiful boy with big round eyes and a high straight nose. It was undeniably the husbando I had stand up until just half a year ago. I was like, who is this? Because I was like, that's not Kohei-kun. Oh, Lucy-san, この漢字何? Is it Oshi? Oshi no koe tte yatsu da. Maybe? It was undeniably the husband I stand up until just half a year ago, Maekawa-kun. Okay, yeah, Oshi. Replacing husbando yearly roomie. I'm really envious of people who have like long-term waifus and husbandos. It's her ex-husbando. I feel like I've never liked a character that long. Well, that's not true. I guess like Azur Lane is maybe the closest one where I stand Azur Lane characters for a really long time. I stand a couple Arknights characters for a while too. I think of who else. I like Rem from ReZero. Rem and Ram. I like both of them actually. I stand them.
まったく、そんなだらけた姿勢じゃこの国では生きていけないぞ。
But I don't have an obsessive personality, fortunately or unfortunately. This was Hirota Maekawa, already an experienced warrior at just 15 years of age. Flustered, I leaped out of my chair. The man to the side of us put his hand to his chin and chuckled. Who's Epsilon? Akurun. I can't! I'm like embarrassed for her. I'm getting secondhand embarrassment. I like can't with this. Oh my god! A sweet cherubic face surrounded by shining golden curls. Epsilon was another husbando of mine. Despite being the enemy, he was wildly popular with female fans, and Komuke a decade ago had been awash with his something. It got cut off. At the same time, I shouted in confusion. Another figure appeared behind them. That small frame and indigo kimono. Could it be? It's Kohei-kun! Oh! It's Kohei-kun! My husbando of husbandos, the man I stand above all others, the master swordsman, Akiyama Kohei-kun. This is too much. I can't handle it. This is so embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed on her stead. I'm like... I'm actually reeling right now. Oh my god. Kohei-kun said, coming to stand beside me, wrapping his little body around my arm. He gazed up at me. Ren slowly brought her face in closer to mine. When she was close enough that I could feel her breath across my skin, she slowly closed her eyes and... The loud noise of a chair toppling over echoed through the stillness of the break room. My best friend peered down at me as I puddled onto the floor and grabbed hold of her like she was a lifeboat in a stormy sea. She cocked her head to me curiously. My husbando of husbandos. Looking around, I found no one there but Shino. I got myself up and sat back down on the chair with a sigh of relief as Shino turned on the lights. Her eyes narrowed mischievously and she stuck up her little finger. I'd never seen anyone make that old-fashioned gesture in real life. Her already narrow eyes narrowed even further as she regarded me suspiciously. I looked away, wondering to myself what in the hell even was going on, but Shino didn't let up on me. I sighed. There was no use lying to Shino, so I went ahead and explained everything that happened after meeting Ren at the cafe. After I'd finished telling her the story, Shino was silent for a moment. Then she muttered to herself, "Teeny bopper." I cut her off vehemently. I was already exhausted enough from the waves of conference people harassing me at the front desk. I didn't need this on top of it. Sure, the situation I was in right now was kind of like something straight out of a manga or a game, but a Yuri one, I wasn't into that. Shino didn't sound convinced. Still not completely awake, I slumped my face down on the table, enjoying the feel of its cool surface against my skin. Closing my eyes, I thought back on the dream I'd just been having and sighed even deeper. After thinking to herself for a moment, Shino, oh, typo again, seemed to have a light bulb moment.
昔のアニメであったやつだ。懐かしいな。まーちゃんもうちに来てよく読んでなかった。鬼族の地球侵略をかけて地球代表の主人公と鬼族代表のヒロインが鬼ごっこするの。その時に主人公がヒロインに求愛するんだけど、それにそっくり。
This sounds oddly familiar. This scenario sounds a little familiar. This race of aliens invade the Earth, and the human leader ends up in this cat and mouse game with the alien heroine. In that one, it's the heroine courting the hero, but it's pretty much the same. Yuri can give you a heart attack if you overdose, so be careful. I will be careful. Thank you, Lucy-san. Papku, welcome. How are you doing?
求愛ってそれは誤解だから。それも含めて。
I had a vague recollection of the story Shino was talking about. She'd had a ton of manga, and there was that one particular series I couldn't put down.
主人公が幼馴染にした球根をヒロインは自分のものだと思っちゃうの。ほら、なんとなく似てるでしょ?
Yeah, it went something like that. Thinking back on my fuzzy childhood memories, right, I was totally taken by that tale, wasn't I?
いいんじゃない？推しを追いかけてばかりの夢女子とギャルの鬼ごっこ。それはいつの間にか宇宙を巻き込み壮大なラブストーリーにみたいな。
そんなの宇宙だって迷惑だわ。
私は好きだけどな、宇宙戦争もの。たくさんの若い兵士が知らぬ間に戦いの前線に行き、そこで生まれる友情や愛情、そして迫る死。
Shino's voice was soft but frenetic.
シノ、ほんと死ネタ好きだ。
Death fic?
だって死は二人の関係性の終着
Oh my god.
頂点だもの。よく考えたら
Oh my god.
死ネタ似合うんじゃ。
やめて、推しを性癖に巻き込まないで。
Give Shino an opening and she'd run with it. I liked BL too, but I didn't obsess over the relationships like she did. Not to mention, I couldn't deal with dark stories where the protagonist died.
でもまあ、死ネタはともかく同人誌とかは増えてほしいよね。ファンミは決まったけど、まだまだ弱小ジャンルだし。
せめて何かしら起爆剤があればね。
Shino unlocked her phone and stared down at the screen. Something glimmered in those narrowed eyes of
検
hers.
証オンリーの同人誌即売会とかあれば、みんな本出してくれるかもしれないけど。
Well, that probably wasn't going to happen anytime soon. Before my thoughts could go any further, I heard a grave whisper.
なるほど。
Shino pushed her glasses up with one finger, squinting down even more intently at her phone. She looked like an evil general plotting her next battle
ないな
move.
ら作ればいいの。
The light from the fluorescent lamps glinted off her milk bottle glasses. The next instant, her fingers were flying over the phone with incredible speed. To be welcome!
シノ？何してるの？スリッター？イベント会社に問い合わせ？もう会場を抑えるの？今何時だと？
My memory of what happened after that was hazy. All I knew was that a few days later I found myself carrying a stack of flyers Shino had designed for the Kensho-only Dojin event.
へえ、ここがあーちゃんとギャルっ子の愛の巣か。
いや、もう何度も来たことあるじゃない。
Shino looked around the room with great interest. She'd been by plenty of times since I moved in, but she seemed excited about it this time.
でもこんなのはなかったよ。
そんなの勝手に触んないの
？Shino grinned teasingly as she indicated a bra hanging out to dry at the veranda. It was a pretty pastel pink and very clearly Ren's.
せっかくだし、そのギャルっ子と会ってみたかったんだけどな。
Seeing my dark color underwear hanging beside Ren's brightly frilly things did look weird. Shino continued staring at the laundry with interest. Perv!
こんなところ見られたらどんなひどいことになるか。
If that whirlwind of jealousy found out we were drawing Dojin of my husbando, who knew how she'd react, which is why I purposely got Shino over here while Ren was out with her friends.
飲み物を出すけど、何がいい？
なんでもいい。
あ、 があるけど、昼酒しちゃう？
She's gonna draw a dojin while drinking? I had a couple cans of beer and chuhai stocked in the fridge, but in terms of soft drinks, I only had fizzy water. I was starting to think I should go shopping, but thankfully Shino was okay with the booze.
いいんじゃない？その方がいいネタ思い浮かびそう。
Shino had set her laptop and tablet up at the dining room table and was already scribbling away on them. However, her expression was clouded.
どう？新刊のネタ思いつきそう？よくあるパロは思いつくんだけど、これっていうのがなくて。とりあえず、武蔵と小次郎がメインなんだよね。
I brought up her favorite pairing, prodding her for more info. I love chatting about this stuff and I was desperate to know the details.
それが理想だけど、でもオールキャラもいいかなって。まだ解釈が深まってないから、がっつりカップリング本は難しい気がするし。じゃあ小平くんも出るの？あーちゃんは欲望に純粋だな。だって私、シノの漫画好きだもん。セリフだってまさしくそのキャラが言いそうなセリフで、本当すごいなっていつも思うよ。
Sure, we've been friends since we were kids, but Shino was like a goddess to me when it came to her fan works. Feeling more and more fired up, I clutched at her hand.
自分の推しに生命を吹き込んでくれる神みたいな存在なの。だから小平くんを描いてほしいって。そう、私はシノの描いた小平くんが見たい。
This was an opportunity to have my husbando drawn by my favorite artist. I couldn't let it slip through my fingers. Looking at Shino directly in the eye, squeezed her hand imploringly.
どうしよっかな。小平くん作画資料必要になりそうだし。それなら私がいくらでもかき集めてくるから。じゃあ書こっかな。小平くん、私も好きだし。ありがとう、シノ大好き。
With both her hands in mine, I gazed into her eyes. I swear I could see a halo shimmering behind her.
ただいま。なんか急に彼氏に呼び出されたからって今日の予定ドタキャンされた。せっかくおしゃれしたのに。
I looked snatched today. Amazing. By the time I heard the voice from the entryway, it was already too late. I heard the door to the dining room open, followed by the thud of a bag falling to the floor.
あ、こんにちは。レン、違うの、これは。なんだ。何よ、この女。
Oh my god. There it is.
で、シノはいつまでいんの？
Ren glared sullenly at Shino, refusing to unhook her arms from around my neck. Shino, on the other hand, was grinning like she was having a grand old time.
待ってたのは悪いけど、これは私たちにとって大事なことなの。それに、ここは私の家だし。
This game has cute art style. I know, it's so pretty. I love the art so much.
その同人誌ってやつを作ることが？それともシノとの間に何か大切なことがあるの？
For some reason, Ren seemed way more interested in my relationship with Shino than the fact that we were drawing boys' love. She looked between the two of us with suspicion.
だから、シノはただの幼馴染でオタク友達だって。
Hello, sir. Welcome. How are you doing today?
本当に？あくる。
Totally
なん
sus.
かやらしい目で見てるし。
Sussy baka.
それは、あわよくば小平くんをって違う。とにかく。しばらくはシノがうちに来ることもあるから、レンは口出し無用。そうそう、合鍵も持ってるし、勝手に使ってるかも。まあ、うちのがシノの家より職場近いしね。
That reminded me that I had indeed given her a spare key, figuring that if I ever lost mine, she'd be able to help me out.
合鍵？あくる、どういうこと？レンにだって渡したでしょ？私だけだって思ってたのに。
But did Rumi go for it? It's a linear game, so you don't like choose a route. It's just like you play through the story. Who's imposter?
もともと一人暮らし始めた時にはもらってたもんね。
You thought? Why? Who wrote this? After screeching directly into my ear, Ren stormed off to the bedroom and slammed the door. Shino smirked at me again as I tried to quell the ringing in my ears.
思ったより面白いじゃん、ギャルっ子。こっちは全然楽しくないんだけど。
During the month leading up to the Dojinshi event, Shino regularly came over to my place so we could work on stuff together. Then the day before the Dojin event.
あーちゃん終わった。あとは表紙と
Imagine being called a thought. I know! Why would they write that? She didn't even say that. She said baka. It was like an idiot.
最高だよこのコピー本。もはやクオリティがオフセット本だよ。
あとは頼んだ。私はちょっと眠る。
A limited time event has started in Kensho just 3 days before the event, and yesterday morning she told me it had given her ideas for a plot.
このクオリティさすがしのすごすぎる。
I looked through the 8-page draft on my computer screen again. As I saved it to a USB stick, I'd have to go print more copies at the convenience store while Shino slept.
あれアクル出かけるの？
寝室にシノがいるから寝かせてあげてね。
私たちのベッドなのに。
いつからレンのものになったの？
Ren had been on the sofa engrossed in painting her nails and apparently hadn't heard my exchange with Shino. Although she sounded miffed, she returned to the sofa in defeat.
で本文を印刷してシノが起きたらまた表紙を印刷して最後に製本か。
When I mentally calculated the time I would need, including for setup prep, I clearly didn't have anywhere near enough. Even if I did manage to grab some sleep, it wouldn't be more than a couple hours.
もとい推しの本のためなら。
Firing myself up with those thoughts, I grabbed my coat and headed out.
で、これ印刷ミスしてない？
Shino muttered after taking a few pages from the stack of copies and scanning through them. I immediately felt myself break out into cold sweat.
3ページだけ途中から逆さまになってる。
嘘。
Looking down at the page she held out to me, I saw that it had indeed been printed backward.
もしかしてあの時。
I remembered how, because it had been taking so long, I'd paused in the middle of printing to let another customer use the machine. I must have put the page back the wrong way around.
コンビニ行ってすり直してくる。
あ、ついでにエネルギードリンク何か買ってきて。あとアイス。
了解。その間シノは値札作ってて。あとお品書きも更新しないと。
オッケー。
Ren arrived back from buying things for dinner just as I was rushing out. She looked bewildered.
何これ？
レンおかえり。夕飯は適当に食べてて。
私とアクルのうちが。
She muttered to herself as she looked around the dining room. The table was covered in piles of paper along with staplers and tape scattered amidst the stacks.
ああ、レンちゃんありがとう。ちょうどお腹減ってたんだ。シノのために買ってきたんじゃないんだけど。っていうか、このごちゃごちゃした部屋は何なの？
触っちゃダメ。ページ崩れるから。
Her hand stopped just short of touching the paper. She started to tremble all over.
もう何なの？ああ、ソースの濃い味がしみる。私のお好み焼き。あれ、これレンちゃんのだったの？美味しそうだったから食べちゃった。楽しみにしてたのに。
じゃあ私コンビニ行ってくるから。
What it's like living with an otaku. Shoving my wallet and the USB stick into my bag, I hurried out the front door. From behind me, I heard Ren's resentful wail floating out after me. Why did it say... Okay, some of the translations here are a little strange. Like, she didn't say kill me. She said, I'm like, kind of like, I'm over it. I'm done with it. No more, sort of thing. It was the day of the Kensho only Dojin event. Oh, I need to sneeze. Ugh. Excuse me. My voice rang out through the hall, unusually warm for April, from our booth's position along the wall. Beside me, Shino mechanically handed out copies of her latest book, the bags under her eyes prominent. The all-nighter she'd pulled had turned her into the Walking Dead.
新刊楽しみにしてました。先生が検証書いてくれるなんて本当に嬉しくて。ありがとうございます。
Although her tone was robotic, she at least managed a smile for the fan. I was sure she was happy with how things turned out, but at the same time she seemed almost out of energy. Thank you.
お釣り500円です。
ありがとうございます。
あ、すみません。もっと後ろ詰めてください。
I hurriedly corralled the line in front of the booth. I was in the customer service industry and used to helping out at Shino's booths, but even my legs and back were starting to protest.
ちょっと座りたい。
シノ、ついに限界が。
Shino crumpled down into a flimsy folding chair like a broken robot. The pitiful sight of her almost brought tears to my eyes, but I forced myself to
私
smile.
に任せて。シノは休んでて。ありがとう。
Help will arrive
助っ
soon.
人が来るから。
The moment her butt touched the seat, she was fast asleep, like her batteries had been removed.
助っ人？
Before I really had time to think about what she'd said, I noticed the line that had formed in front of the booth and hurried back to my post.
コピー本はもう売り切れで、後でツイッターでも公開するので、ちょっと今新刊出すので待っててください。
As I crouched down on the table to get out some more stock, I noticed the venue was buzzing about something.
何？お写真？いいよ。可愛く撮ってね。
The eye of the storm was headed this way. I heard a staff member call out, "No running," which was answered with a breezy "Sorry."
もしかして。
That cheerful voice brought a particular person to mind, but no, it couldn't be. Please, God, no. My prayers went unanswered because there she was.
どこ？いた。めっちゃ人多くて全然見つからなかったんだけど。
Wait, this is so cute! Cute! She's cosplaying! And she's adorable! Look at her! Oh, this art is so good. I can't. I stared in wide-eyed surprise at the figure waving in my direction. She was wearing an off-shoulder tiger print bikini and horns peeked out from her long hair.
どう？可愛い？
Oh, so cute! Look at her winking! It looked like she'd taken inspiration from one of the demon enemies in Kensho and put her own slightly, no, extremely sexy spin on it.
シノがこれ着てきなさいって。あくる、こういうの好きなんでしょ？
Ren put her hand to her chest and looked at me through her long lashes.
エッチなんだね。あくる？シノ！
She said help was coming, but this was the opposite. I desperately shook the sleeping schemer by the shoulder, but she didn't even stir.
たまにこんなの仕込んでたのよ。新刊は。
はい。ちょっとお待ちください。
Well, there was nothing I could do about it now. At these events, it was customary to rope in anyone you possibly could to help, and in the face of these crowds, I'd welcome whatever was on offer.
後で美味しいもの買ってあげるから、ちょっと手伝って。
あくるが私のこと頼ってる？
とりあえずお金受け取って、本は私が出すから。
Sorry, my cat's being very grouchy right now. Hello, can I help you? I'm grumbling. Beaming, Ren nodded, moving Sheena out of the way like a sack of potatoes so she could stand beside me.
とにかくこの状況をなんとかしないと、町よ知見証本も買いに行けないわ。
I shouldn't complain about our popularity. Crouching beneath the table, I gave myself a quick pep talk before standing up to face the crowds again. I collapsed into a chair with a heavy sigh. Shino, revived by her nap, headed off to the shipping counter to arrange to send her luggage and purchases.
今日はお疲れ様。なんだかんだ助かったわ。
ねえ、本当？やった。
Cosplay aside, having Ren there meant I was able to go do some of my own shopping, so I had nothing but gratitude if we ignored the cosplay.
それにたくさん新刊買えたし、本当に嬉しい。
I cleared off the table and plonked down a huge tote bag and several paper bags on it. Inside were so many Kohi dojins, it seemed like I'd bought up the whole event.
これであと1ヶ月。いや、1年は戦えるわ。
Clutching my spoils to my chest, I savored the joy they brought me. I was so happy. All the hard work had been worth it.
レンもありがとう。あくる
Ren clasped her hand to her chest and then made a leap for me. At the same time, I noticed someone else approaching. Seeing her smiling face brought a smile to mine. Dumping my stuff back onto the table, I scrambled to my feet.
お、カナラセヤマさん。
Kanaraseyama-san was an artist around my own age who also stanned Kohei-kun. She looked like she was on her way out when she came toward me, rolling a suitcase along with her. Slipping out of Ren's grasp, I dashed over to Kanaraseyama-san, who wore a sophisticated smile on her face.
さんもサークル参加だったんですね。
です。あと新刊すっごく最高でした。小平君をあえてシャツではなくパーカーがくらにするところなんて最高すぎてほんと神かと。
もう読んでくれたんですか？ありがとうございます。
楽しみすぎて家まで待ちきれなくて、表紙からして最高だったんですが、特に5ページ目のセリフは吹き出しから浩平くんの声が聞こえてきて、ほんと好き。
I took Kanaraseyama-san's hand in mine as I relayed my feelings about her newest work. Somehow words didn't seem enough to convey all my emotions and I squeezed her hand tightly.
あくるー。お、この浮気者。
I got called a thought again. Wump. The bag arced gracefully through the air to hit me square on the head. My vision spun and pain ran through the back of my skull.
あくるなんて知らないから。
Huffing with rage, Ren spun on her heel and stalked off, and so I ended the passionate day of doujinshi with a lump on my head to remember it by. Ren had been acting weird lately.
あれ、人参ってどう切るんだっけ？まあいっか。一口サイズで。
Ren moved the knife energetically, chopping the carrot into chunks. They clearly weren't anywhere near bite-sized, but I let it slide. She tossed onion, carrots, and potatoes into the boiling pot, and a pleasant bubbling sound filled the dining room. Then she turned her gaze to the water heater panel.
お風呂。
With that, she dashed off to the bathroom. She had probably felt an urge to clean or something.
おかしい。
Turning down the heat on the unattended pot, I gently stirred the contents with some chopsticks. Staring into the slightly burned bottom, I tried to put my finger on what was
だっ
different.
て普段家事なんてめったにしないのに、最近やけに協力的なの？
Aside from being even more clingy than usual, it was strange for her to demonstrate such consideration. Usually at this time, she'd be sprawled on the sofa watching videos on her phone.
お風呂掃除終わったよ。あ、何してるの？あくるは今日は台所立たないで休んでていいから。あ、火弱くなってるし。
But instead of saying that, I found myself voicing my thoughts.
ねえ、どうしたの？なんか変じゃない？
I could almost hear my question hit her as her eyes widened and she started. However, she stood over me, she shooed me over to the sofa with a smile like butter wouldn't
いい
melt.
から。あくるはそこでゲームでもやってて。
そういうなら。
Without much else to do, I sat down on the sofa and opened up Kensha, but my mind was still elsewhere. When I went to the gacha screen, it displayed the remaining time for the limited event.
忘れてた。
どうしたの？
Leaving the cooking chopsticks sticking out of the pot, Ren came over to me and peered down at the screen. When I looked to her, she grinned, already knowing what was
任
up.
せて。いいやつ引いてあげるから。
The gacha goddess herself. Usually she teased me about it, but Ren seemed oddly genuine today as she took my phone from me.
じゃあ、お願いしようかな。
そうだ。そのいいやつが出たら。いや、やるね。
She seemed like she'd been about to say something, but she quickly dropped it. I found that strange, but I was grateful for her pulling the gacha for me, so I decided not to say anything. Another typo. The sword came down across the street and the sound effect echoed through the dining room.
SSR ってやつ出たよ。
He held the phone out to me with a blank look. SSR? Did she just say SSR?
かっこいいね SSR じゃん。最高。
Kohei-kun smiled brightly up at me while munching on a dumpling. He looked so cute and innocent.
よかったね。ありがとう。これでまた一つ浩平君との思い出が解放される。それなら送る。
Before she could finish her sentence, a shrill beeping pierced the air. My gaze snapped towards the kitchen.
鍋火かけっぱなし。
The smell of burning drifted up from the pot as I hurriedly turned off the stove. Bits of charred onion were stuck to the bottom. That must have been the culprit.
ごめん。
I climbed onto a chair to reach the button up of the fire alarm on the ceiling while Ren looked into the pot. The beeping blessedly stopped.
焦げてんじゃん。
Ren's shoulders slumped. I peered back into the pot too. If we removed the blackened onion, we could probably still use the rest. Turning it into curry could mask the burned taste.
もったいない。
いや、まだなんとかなるんじゃない？肉じゃががカレーになってもいいなら、私やろっか？
I mentally ran through the contents of the fridge and shelves. I was sure I could rescue this.
それじゃあ作戦が。
作戦？
Before I could probe any further, my phone vibrated on the table. The unfamiliar ringtone called out to me loudly.
レン、あなた、もしかして。
Her face was a picture of discomposure, but she made no move towards the phone. Feeling like I had an idea what was coming, I picked it up.
はい。
もしもし、古舘香織さんの携帯電話でしょうか。
香り？いえ、わかりかねますが。
え、おかしいな。保護者の番号のはずなのに。そちらは。
Huh? This woman's confusion only added to my own list of questions. On top of that, Ren had been pulling a series of comical expressions through the
古
conversation.
舘蓮の同居人ですが、何かあったんでしょうか？
同居に。あ、保護者の方ですか。あい、古舘さんの成績のことに関してごそ。
成績？
Ren's shoulder jerked at the word, sensing that she was about to make a run for it. I pinned her to the spot with a pointed glare.
詳しく聞かせていただ
Oh
いても
no,
いい
is she
でしょうか？
failing? The woman who seemed to be Ren's tutor explained the circumstances to me. After listening for a few minutes, I hung up the call.
さっきのはそういうことだったのね。
I stood in front of her to question her directly, but she guiltily avoided meeting my gaze.
You understand what you should do next, right?
Oh! English!
What?
You don't get it.
Her English sounds like French. like a French person speaking English. I could practically see the question marks hovering over her head. She clearly didn't understand a word I was saying. I sighed.
本当に英語ダメなのね。
According to her homeroom teacher, Ren was consistently failing her English test. That was one thing, but apparently she'd also been caught trying to do her nails during remedial classes. I thought her nails were looking exceptionally fancy lately.
勉強くらいちゃんとやりなさい。
話せるのもあるもん。I love you と I need you は発音も完璧だってルリちゃん先生にも褒められたし。
This was no good. Ren seemed triumphant about that for some reason.
ね、ルリちゃん先生は他にも何か言ってなかった？
今度赤点取ったら保護者面談だって。あ、いや、それは違くて。
Realizing she'd given herself away, she looked around wildly. If her English teacher had already warned her, why did she let it come to this?
勉強見てほしいなら早く言えばいいでしょ。
だってワクル嫌かもしれないし。
レンが勉強してなかったのに気づかなかった私も悪いし、それくらい見るわよ。
This wasn't helping her, and if her grades plummeted after moving in with me, I wouldn't be able to show my face to her real family. As her elder and her roommate, it was my responsibility to keep her in line.
その代わりみっちり教え込むから。
え、本当？
Ren looked a little bashful but pleased. I continued making my face sterner than usual.
とりあえず明日から時間が合うタイミングで勉強見てあげるから、
それ以外の時間でも勉強すること。
Not quite convinced by her meek arrangement, I went back to the dinner preparations. First things first, I had to scrape out that burnt onion.
二人っきりで勉強。あんなことやこんなことが起きちゃうやつじゃん。何か言った？あ、いやいや、なんでもないって。
Textbooks and notepaper were scattered across the table. The words blurred before my eyes and I ran them over the page. Ew, I flopped forward.
アクルは今日仕事だって。でもなんでよりによってシノが来るの？
Oh, we switched perspectives. Now we're playing as Ren. This woman was Akura's childhood friend and the evil witch who encouraged her to chase those anime boys. In other words, my biggest obstacle. I couldn't believe she of all people was here.
私、アクルよりも話せるし。
Shino flipped nonchalantly through a textbook. With those mannerisms and her thick glasses, she looked like a real honor student, which made her words weirdly persuasive.
昔ハマったジャンルに帰国子女がいたから、アクルと猛勉強して英語を話せるようになったんだよね。
I didn't really get it, but it seemed like Akuru wasn't just good at cooking and cleaning, she was smart too, despite appearances. Ren's school outfit is cute. It is super cute. I love it. Her design's so good.
攻めが中国系 IT 企業の社長だったから、ついでに中国語も勉強してさ。海外の
Oh my god.
現地語の同人誌売ったりしてたっけ。
Shino is something else.
懐かしいな。攻め？そりゃ BL 本のってあーちゃんそういう話してないんだっけ。
Shino narrowed her eyes at me. Her expression pissed me off, so I pouted.
何それ？へえ、意外と知らないんだね、あーちゃんのこと。
Even though I was fully aware of that myself, her words clanged in my head.
アクル、私に何も話してくれないし。
I mean, what was I supposed to do? I didn't want to drive her away by pushing her to talk about stuff. And honestly, I got bored listening to people talk about stuff I didn't understand.
だからギャルっ子も嘘ついてるの？
Shino pushed the open textbook in front of me. My friend had doodled in the corner a weird-looking rabbit and beside it my name with a heart next to it.
レンちゃん。ラブちゃんって呼んだ方がいい？別にいいでしょ。
The Japanese character for my name meant love, so that's what my dad had called me, but in English. I found it cute as a kid, but now I told everyone to call me Ren, the Japanese reading for the same character. Oh, I like Ren, I guess.
その名前で呼ばないでよ。キラキラネームすぎてすっごいからかわれてるんだから。可愛いと思うけど、ラブちゃん。ほんとやな女。
Of all the people I didn't want to know, she was at the top of my list, and now she was here saying my name, totally making fun of me.
そうだ。それならこれから出す問題はあーちゃんに関連したものにしてあげようか。例えばそうだな。あーちゃんは明日錦糸町の美容院に行きますを英訳してみなさいとか。明日美容院行くの？お仕事休み？
This was the first I was hearing of it, although she never told me her plans unless I asked. Actually, I'd never even asked what her favorite music or food
そう言っ
was.
てたけど。そうだったんだ。やる。そういうのならテンション上がりそう。じゃあノート用意して例文書いて。
Cute! I kind of like their relationship. I feel like I played right into Shino's hand, but I was happy to learn more about Akuru. And your English is improving, right? Win-win situation. I offered Shino my notebook, readjusted my grip on my favorite pen, and got down to business.
OK。少しミスもあったけど、まあ合格でいいでしょう。やったー！
Shino drew a big smiley face on the paper she'd made to test me on what we'd study that day.
嬉しい。ありがとう、シノ。
Oh, I hope they should become good friends. That would be cute. Pleased by the amount of correct answers on my test, I instinctively snapped a photo of it to post on Twitter later.
これでアクルのことも少しは詳しくなったんじゃない？
Just when I'd been starting to think maybe she wasn't so bad after all, Shino got that teasing smirk on her face
それは
again.
感謝してるけど、今は知らなくたってこれから知ればいいでしょ。シノは幼なじみだからアクルのことよく知ってるかもしれないけど、私だって恋人になったらもっと詳しくなるもん。多分。
でもあーちゃん、私と一緒に推しを追いかけるの忙しいしな。
それはそうかもしれないけど。
But I didn't know how to get Akira to fall for me, other than continuing to tell her how much I liked her. There was also the seduction option, but I didn't think she was interested in that.
それは愛の力で
Oh,
何
sorry,
とか
one
する
second.
し。
I'll manage somehow through the power of love.
そっか。なんたってラブちゃんだもんね。
だから。
That got my blood boiling. I leaped to my feet. The chair clattered. I heard the front door opening and the sounds of Akira returning home. I was about to go greet her as I usually would, but Shino's next words stopped me short.
それなら証明してみせてよ。その愛の力ってやつを。
なんか空気おかしくない？
Akira must have immediately sensed the tension as she looked between me and Ishino. I grabbed her by the arm and pulled her close to
ア
me.
クル、こっち来て。何？
She looked down at me in surprise as I wrapped my arms around her slender waist. The cardigan draped around her shoulders smelled like outside.
勉強は
She was always like this. I just put my feelings on full display and she acted clueless. It was so frustrating. I stretched up on my tiptoes to bring her face closer to hers.
ちょっと、いや。
But I couldn't reach her. Akira turned her head away and pushed me back with a frown.
だからやめなさい。もうなんで？
Girls had always been happy to be hugged by me, yet here Akira was always curving me like I was some kind of creeper.
アクルはボディタッチとかそういうの好きじゃないからな。
Shino murmured softly rather than her usual teasing expression. She looked serious about this.
そんな。
So Akira was genuinely uncomfortable with everything I'd been doing?
だからやめなさい。
Replaying Akira's words from yesterday in my head, I felt awful. It was like her voice was still ringing in my ears.
アクルって私のことうざいとか思ってんのかな。
I sighed heavily as I trudged along the road to school. This was just depressing.
どうやったら私のこと見てくれるんだろう。
Akira was super cute. She deny it herself, but come on, she was drop dead gorgeous. But I was no Ugo myself. I can't believe that. I mean, I guess it's supposed to be because she's supposed to be like a Gen Zer. So they're like using like very Gen Z hip kid words.
私かわいい最強。
Ren's gonna call him a thought for ignoring her hugs, eh? Not wrong. Saying it out loud gave me confidence. Akira didn't seem to be into girls, but I would make her be into this one. Just watch me.
おは
Oha.
おはよう。はよ。どうした？なんか暗くない？あ、
I wasn't sure how to respond. I was always gushing to them about Akira, and the idea of complaining about her made me sad.
もしかして例の人？アクルさんだっけ？里根はほんと鋭いよね。まあ、そうだけどさ。
なに？なんかされた？レン傷つけるとか容赦しないんだけど。
レンはうちらのアイドルだしね。
Suddenly smiled confidently at me, her eyes sparkling behind her horn-rimmed glasses.
なんかあったらいいなよ。古舘蓮親衛隊が守ってあげる。
ありがと
The fucking Gen Z words. I'm dead. I hugged them happily. The two of them hugged me back.
う。やっぱハグするの好き。
Girls were so soft. I love hugging other girls.
アクルは違うんだよね。
I was still thinking about Akuru. I liked hugging, but what did Akuru like?
そういえば聞いたことなかったかも。
I stopped in my tracks and stared at the ground. I felt like I just had a light bulb moment. I spoke quietly to myself out of the earshot of my friends.
そうだよね。
I ended up getting such a high score in the English test, even my teachers were shocked. That was all well and good, but her shrimps were ready to attack.
例のテストが終わったお祝いなのに。
Akura regarded me anxiously as I rolled up my sleeves at the kitchen counter. God, she was such a worrier.
大丈夫。アクルは座ってて。
I'd bought horse mackerel and breadcrumbs at the supermarket to make what had apparently been Akura's favorite since she was little, fried fish.
それにシノに手伝ってもらうから。
え、私？シノが一緒にやるなら大丈夫かな。
Akura nodded her approval. God, she was acting like she was my mom or something. And after saying something to Shino, she headed off into her room.
で、なんで私？
お願い。私一人でやって失敗したくないの。
I sucked at cooking to start with, and the last time I tried to make stew, I totally messed up. I clasped my hands together and put on my sweetest voice. Shino didn't seem pleased about it, but she shrugged.
どういう心境の変化？
前にアクルはあんまり抱きつかれたりとかそういうのは嫌だって言ってたでしょ。
Ever since the day of our study session when I hugged and tried to kiss Akura in front of her, I'd been thinking about Shino's words and about what I should do going forward.
こういう愛情表現にしようと思って。
Aw, Ren is so sweet. She's very cute. The best way to get Akura to fall for me was to do things she liked. Obs. Shino smiled to herself as she washed her hands. As usual, I couldn't tell what she was thinking, but at the very least, she didn't seem to be making fun of me.
アクルできたよ。
The array of dishes, fried fish, miso soup, rice, and salad, looked even more impressive than I'd hoped. Like, it was pretty good, if I said so myself. Almost as soon as she sat down at the table, Akura reached for the fish. A smile spread across her face with the first bite.
おいしい。本当？うん。やったー。よかったー。
I smiled as I watched Akura happily devouring my meal. They did say the way to a person's heart was through their stomach. This could actually work.
アクル。
何？
コンプリメントハモア。
何言ってんの？I'd rather not say because I'm embarrassed.
They're talking to you in English.
何？どういうこと？
It wasn't fair of them to suddenly start talking in English, as Shino smirked triumphantly at me.
二人だけの秘密。
また例のコウヘイくんの話？
それよりもこれから好きになるかもしれない推しの話かな。
I could have made a snorting sound. I didn't know what the hell she was on about, but this talk of standing.
アクルの好きな男の子がもっと増えるってこと？何それどこの誰？
I leaned into Akura's personal space, trying to pressure an answer out of her, but she looked off in the distance. Then she awkwardly put down her chopsticks and got to her feet.
シーノ、もうご飯食べ終わったでしょ。駅まで送ってくから。じゃあお願いしよっかな。後片付けは私やるから、レンは先にお風呂でも入ってて。
はーい。
Akura grabbed her coat, then, still slightly red in the face, hurried out the door ahead of Shino.
私切られちゃった。
Oh no, more typos!
仕方ないか。
After watching the two of them leave, I meekly went to clean the bath. I was chilling on the sofa after cleaning the bath when I heard the sound of the front door open. I leaped up from the show I was watching and rushed to meet
お
her.
かえり。遅かったね。お風呂沸いてるよ。
あれ、先入ってなかったの？
アクル帰ってくるの待ってた。
そう。
I was about to go back to the living room to get back to my TV show, but Akuda called me from behind to stop
ちょ
me.
っと待って。
何？
It was already unusual enough for Akuda to initiate a conversation, but her next words were even more unexpected.
渡したいものがあるの。
Akuda passed through the dining room and went into the bedroom. I waited on the sofa and she soon returned with a small package.
ずっと勉強頑張ってたでしょ？だからプレゼント。
Akuda sat down beside me as I pulled the item out from its pale pink paper bag. Her expression was a little embarrassed and super cute.
ほんとありがとう。開けていい？
いいけど、今時の女の子の好きなものなんてわからなかったから。
Inside were two nail polishes, one a glittery pink and the other a pearly white. The bottles were fancy like perfume.
ただし、授業中に使っちゃダメだからね。
Cute! She remembered how much I loved doing my nails. I was so happy my chest felt tight.
アクルありがとう。
Cute! They even have the little nail polish in the picture. Aww.
ほんと嬉しい。いや。
I hugged her super tight, putting all my joy into it. Oh, it was kind of nice to hear those complaining noises from her again. Wait, complaining?
アクルはボディタッチとかそういうの好きじゃないからな。離れてってば。やっちゃった
I put my foot in it. What? What? She just said that she like messed up. By the time I realized, it was already too late. And it was back to the drawing board with my strategy. Cute! Weaving my way through the crowds of people, I hurriedly made my way home. The area in front of Kinishicho Station was always packed with office workers around this time, so instead I cut through the rundown pleasure district where the crowds were thinner.
ちょっとお姉さん、あれ、なんか急いでる感じ？あ、ねえ。
Which meant this was a common occurrence.
早く家に帰って新刊読みたい。
Ignoring the promoter or pickup artist or whatever he was, I thought only of the contents of the bag clutched in my left hand. Inside the blue bag were several newly released volumes of manga I picked up that day.
やっぱり雑誌での連載時よりも単行本の方が紙質がいいし、リアルタイムの魅力も捨てがたいけど、全力で推しの魅力を味わうには単行本しかないのよね。
As I was thinking those thoughts, yet another guy tried to hit
お
on me.
姉さん美人だね。モデルさん？
Do you get flashbacks of Doki Doki Literature Club and Higurashi playing this? No! Doki Doki Literature Club and Higurashi are both horror games, and this is not a horror game. He was blocking my path, and I turned my gaze toward him for a second as I made to slip past him. That's when I saw something that made me gasp.
レン、
お、なになに？こんな美人さんが返事してくれるなんて嬉しいな。
Ren was skipping along arm in arm with another woman. The girl looked to be a little younger than me, maybe 23 or 24, and was a total knockout.
いやいや、嘘じゃないって。お姉さんほんと美人。雑誌で見たことあるもん。
Just because they were linking arms and chatting didn't mean it was like that, but then I saw where the two of them were heading. A white building illuminated by warm orange lights. Through the glass door I could see an elegant white lobby. In other words...
ホテル？
The guy jerked up with surprise as I grabbed him by the arm and pulled him down towards me to hide behind.
さすがにそれは早すぎない？
早すぎって浮気に早すぎも何もないでしょ？
すんません。
Cheating. My head spun at the word. I couldn't believe Ren of all people would do that.
いや、待って。別にいいじゃない。付き合っているわけじゃないし。
In fact, Ren being interested in someone other than me should have been the answer to my prayers.
それに好きなわけでもないし。
And yet, for some reason, I couldn't stand to watch her any longer. I looked away.
これはうちのホテルを選ばないことに嫉妬しているっていう職務意識の表れで。
お姉さん、そろそろいいっすかね。
うん。これはプロゆえの嫉妬、職業病。よし、もう帰ろう。
Releasing the man's arm, I set off, walking briskly as though I could outrun the image in my head. I vaguely heard someone calling for me to stop, but I couldn't find it in me to care. Akuda going soon, I know! A few hours after that, Ren arrived home much later than usual. She also seemed unusually refreshed and bouncy.
なんでこの男の子こんな病んでんの？嫌なら断ればよくない？そこがこの子のいいところなのよ。そっか。
I was watching an anime while trying to calm myself down. Ren was next to me drinking a soda and occasionally interrupting.
さっきのこと聞きたいけど、どうやって死んだ。
He died. Ren's voice snapped me back to my senses and I refocused on the screen. This was my husbando, dead as a doornail. My husbando died again. Why do they always die? Oh no. The show had already flipped over to a commercial. A woman excitedly shook a bottle of salad dressing, like the world hadn't just lost one of its brightest stars.
ちょっと引くんだけど、でも泣いてるアクルめっちゃ可愛い。どうしよう。どうしたらいいのよ。
I wailed, tears running probably down? Maybe? Tears running down my cheeks. Ren was clearly flustered as she comforted me, but at the same time she seemed to be enjoying herself. Morning would come, no matter the pain of the night before. I still had my job and the world would still be turning tomorrow. It was almost cruel in its impartiality. I closed my eyes, the lids laden with a darker color than usual. My eyes still stung from crying. Ren suddenly popped up in my face as I stooped down to leave the garbage out at the collection point. She reached out to touch beneath my eyes as she spoke, but straightened up to avoid her hand and tucked. But I straightened up to avoid her hand and tucked my hair behind my ear with forced casualness. Had I given it away that I was spying on her yesterday? I rushed to make excuses, but Ren didn't seem to care at all. Instead, she clung to my arm with a smile. Wait, but I didn't spy on her. I just saw her. I'd run away before she could spot me, but I couldn't say that. She leaned in closer, looking up at me with her big brown eyes. Her skin was smooth and a gloss shone on her slightly pouty lips. Was she trying to get me to prove she was cheating? I racked my brain for a response, but in the end just settled for heading just to work. The tap of my fingers on the keyboard echoed through the stillness. I scrolled through the feed, running my eyes quickly over the text. Oh, Snapple, welcome! So here, if you don't like the game, you don't have to watch. We'll be playing different games next week, but no worries if you do not like the game. I'd slipped up out of bed, leaving Ren fast asleep, and come into the dining room to search for the other woman. Making excuses to myself, I continued searching the net. Ren had mentioned it was hard to meet other girls, so I should be able to pin down where she'd met this other woman. I'd been to such IRL meetups before and knew they were a good place to meet people if you were into that. I'd met plenty of people through that myself, although only fellow nerd friends, of course. Thinking it was unusual for these events to have a video, I followed the link. Oh! Scantily clad women were dancing on what appeared to be a club. One bikini-clad girl was kissing another's chest. Every scene was new and shocking to me. Some of the girls in the video looked pretty young. Worry bloomed in my chest to think of Ren at such a place. Akuda being tsundere is so cute! I imagined Ren surrounded by women. It made me uncomfortable. I could totally see it happening. As I looked into it further, I found that these gay events were generally held at an area of Shinjuku called Nichome. It wasn't far from here. And if I went to one of them, maybe I would meet her too. I closed my laptop, resolved to visit this gay district for myself. I think we are unfortunately up at time though. I'm very curious to see what would happen though. Oh no, it's another one where it gets cut off. What am I supposed to do about that? It like straight up just cuts out and I can't even see it in this scene. We're gonna be stopping here for today, but we're gonna continue because I want to finish the game on stream, but I think I might finish it on Twitch, but we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated. I'll post on Twitter probably what I will be doing. And if I do go live on Twitch, I'll also post it on my Discord. So, if you guys enjoyed it, I'll see you guys for like part 2 on Twitch sometime. I'll catch the bot of the game. The game looks good. Makes me want to play some of your visual novel library. Yeah, I have quite the visual novel library too. I need to get through it as well. So this is me making an effort to get through some of my visual novel library as well. The game is interesting. Hoping to see more of it. Yeah, I hope I can play more of it soon. I'm really interested to see what happens and to see how it pans out. I want to see if she gets the lottery ticket with her CD. And I also want to see if they end up going to that theme park, because that was like the original thing, right? So I'm really excited. I love the art for this game so much. It's so incredibly beautiful and I'm really excited to see more. I feel like we're getting less of those cutscene type images, so I kind of I'm a little sad, but I want to see more of them, so I'm excited to keep going. I hope you guys like the game. It is called OshiRabu Waifus Over Husbandos. It's on Steam if you do want to play it yourself. I'm definitely enjoying it, so we'll definitely do more soon. I don't have a stream tomorrow, but I should be streaming on Monday, so I'll see you guys on Monday, and I'll have my stream schedule up probably sometime tomorrow. If you missed the announcement yesterday, we'll be doing VR streams very soon with the new 3D models, all very exciting. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. And thank you so much for hanging out today. Really appreciate it. I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a good night or a good rest of your day. And I'll see you guys very soon. Oh yeah, Highway Blossoms. I've been meaning to check that one out as well. I think I have it actually. I have it and I think I played the first couple, because that's the one where like she's like in a truck and one of the girls is like in a car and she gets stranded in like the middle of the freeway. I think they're like in Nevada or something too. Very close to Area 51. And they like have to go search for some treasure. Is that the right one? Am I thinking of a different one? I'm a really big fan of Yuri visual novels, so I definitely have a couple in my library as well. But anyway, I'll see you guys soon. I'll try to continue this game on Twitch. If you guys are not familiar with my Twitch, it is twitch.tv/OberonRumi. And I'll see you guys very soon.